about transformation and something totally unique. This year we're doing things differently. It's the new normal, we're embracing it. It's our very first virtual conference, it's the 5th year, and we are going to be having a fireside chat like no other. Oftentimes, Omilola Oshikoya, who is the convener, just comes, gives her welcome address, charges us in response to the theme of that year. Well, today, she's not going to be, or for this session, she's not just going to be moderating a panel session or giving the opening charge or releasing the word over the nations, over your business or individuals at this point. She's going to be sitting and taking on a different role. We're seeing her in a new light, and she's not doing it alone. For the very first time on the Do It Afraid conference stage is a man who is no stranger to this conference. Indeed, he's one of the key pillars that God has used over the years for the success of this conference and, of course, the success of the woman behind this conference. Allow me to introduce him properly. He is a practicing lawyer and partner at Omilola Oshikoya and Partners. He's a specialist in aviation law, maritime law, and general commercial law with circa 20 years experience. He was a contributor to the Aviation Law Review 2nd to 4th edition, representing Nigeria, which featured 31 countries such as the European Union, Hong Kong, Singapore, Brazil, Argentina, Japan, United Kingdom, United States, just to mention a few. His work experience includes Shofunde, Osakwe, Ogundikbe, and Belgore legal practitioners, Chief Rotimi Williams Chambers and Beaumont and Son Solicitors, London. He was a BL for the Nigerian Law School, a Masters of Law, or he has a BL, Bachelor's of Law from the Nigerian Law School, a Masters of Law in International Commercial Law from the University of Sussex, and an LLB Honours Law from the University of East Anglia. He's a public speaker and has been invited to speak at events on radio and TV. He's a marriage mentor and marriage counselor and the co-host of the bi-monthly webinar titled The Basis of Marriage. He has been married to his best friend, who is coincidentally the convener of the Do It Afraid conference, Omilola Oshikoya, for over 14 years, and they are blessed with 4 beautiful children. Do It Afraid Conference 2020. Please make very welcome for the very first time here on this stage, Gbenga Oshikoya. Oh, and sitting beside him, of course, is his damsel, the queen of his heart, the one and only. Any other Mrs. Omilola Gbenga Oshikoya is a counterfeit, as they say in Family. God forbid. That is fake, null and void. Does not exist. It is such an honor, such a privilege to be sitting here and speaking to both of you as we share a story, a Do It Afraid story that many people don't get to hear. And that is the story behind the story. From the very beginning of today's conference, Omi, they've shown your Do It Afraid story, talked about the journey so far. And I know, as you said, what you said during the opening speech was the tip of the iceberg. People don't get to see what really happens for the conference to happen each year in, year out. I know that what you've said is just a snapshot. A book is still coming. Seminars are still coming. You're still going to train and teach people, what it means to literally walk on water, doing it afraid. And the man behind the scenes, who is a heavy supporter, maybe I should before I ask you my first question, I'll let Omi talk about your contribution to the Do It Afraid conference in a way that only her can testify to. So, Omi, let me let you take the stage for a few minutes. Just tell us Gbenga's involvement in the Do It Afraid conference year in, year out.
I don't know why I started tearing up when she asked me that question.
It's okay.
This was a plan, but I just want to say thank you, babes. Thank you for, I think, marrying me. Being married to me is a Do It Afraid. It's afraid.
That was the first Do It Afraid.
Yes, I think it is to write a book on being married to me and my husband's support. I mean, if he says no, I can't do it. I can't. But he never says no, no matter how ridiculous these things are. And at the end of the day, This year we thank God, God did it through crowdfunding. And even over the years, there have been people that have contributed, that supported, but the bulk of it always ends up on us. And when I say us, really, I left investment banking 7 years ago, and literally have been on this water walking journey, worked in church, and then started my, business and everything. But you know that it takes time to even make money, if anything. So I've literally said, God said I should resign from my investment banking job. Then God says we should write a book about our story, the richer woman, when I talked about facing, adultery, emotional affairs, and all of that. Then God says we should have conferences, and okay, you can use your church office, but no, God said we should use Eco Hotel, the most expensive venue, Federal Palace Hotel, and my husband never ever questions my sanity. He just always says yes. And when I've had to fall back on anything, the 2018 conference, I remember we were on our way and we had done it, and the venue person had said she never does it, so thank God for favor. We could host the event without paying. And that he really had taken care of school fees, taking care of a lot of things. But he had just gotten there was a company that had just paid or something, and he can say he needs to buy a new car, buy clothes, travel, do things. He never spends his money on anything but his family, his children, or us. So thank you. He's my backbone. Thank you for allowing me to obey God. Thank you for not questioning when you don't even understand why, but always standing and supporting. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. I'm really glad that Omi had the opportunity to do that opener because it will lead me to my first question to Gbenga. Omi has talked about how you never say no. She comes up with, like in her own words, crazy, ridiculous, mad, just think of all the words, but she has said that God said I should. It's one thing to receive an instruction from God. It is easier, not easy, easier to obey. But when you're the second party, it's like Abraham didn't even tell Sarah that he was going to kill Isaac because like, whose son are you going to kill? So it's easy for the person who receives the instruction. So the first question I want to ask you, Benga, is why? Why do you do what you do? There are many husbands that are supportive, but there are also many husbands who want to live life normally, not have to do it afraid all the time. So what is your why?
Thank you for having me. Um, Saying thank you to my wife would be an understatement. She's more than I can put in words. Um, she is a part of me, and obviously, me supporting her. I know a lot of people think, "Oh, it's easy. She's your wife. You have to," but it's not been easy. There are certain things she comes up with, and I'm thinking, do we really have to take this one? But like what this program is about, God transforms all of us, right? He tells us, we shouldn't conform to the world. And you see, the worldly things are the things we desire, the circumstance we're in, the things that surround us. And like, you know, the volcano is an apt way of explaining it. We all have a purpose. The volcano is literally attached to the earth, but it doesn't really conform to the earth. But its core is its purpose. And until the time is right, that purpose comes out. Everybody has a purpose within them. We all do, right? So the why question that you've asked, I think for me, I realized why am I Gbenga Oshikoya, Omilola's husband? And I've said this so many times. I said it at our wedding. I had an encounter with Christ when I was young. He appeared to me in a dream, and I served him in it. In the dream, my parents were there, and I told them that he is here. And they were like, who? And I pointed to the picture of the Last Supper, him in the middle. And they just told me I should go and serve him. Like how, they train you at home when you're young, when visitors come, go and see to them. So So all I remember doing in that dream was serving him a glass of water, if I remember correctly. And for years, I carried that dream with me. I didn't see him as in facially, but what I saw was his image sitting down in a chair, and he was glowing. I couldn't see his face, but I knew who it was. So, like I said, I've been carrying that dream with me, or that encounter with me for years, until I met Omilola. Um, I met her when I was 20.
I think you're 30.
Was it? Yeah, sorry, 30. I was just about to turn 30, right?
No, you had just turned 30.
30,
I think so.
Okay, sorry. And I'd never met anybody with that name before, Omilola Oluwa, or Omilola for short.
Which means
Omilola
water.
Oluwa means water is God's well, right? Obviously, what people may not understand is the most expensive liquor or spirit or whatever does not compare to that basic thing called water. I know the Bible says God will use the most foolish things to confound the minds of the wise. And it's the same thing with water. It's so simple and basic that nothing else that is more expensive than it can do the things it can do. Water does everything. You cook with it, eat with it, bath with it, clean with it, all that. But let me not digress. When I met her, let me go back. Before I met her, I was abroad, I was in school. I knew I was going to come to Nigeria to do law school. When I was younger, I was having, issues with education. When you're young, you're always here, there, playing around, and a lot of times I was used to worry about things at home, my parents and all that stuff. So when before I came back, I prayed to God that, God, please, I want two things from you. I want to pass my bar exam, and I want to get married. And I was specific about who I wanted to marry, as in shape-wise, the things I wanted, I told God. So, but when I met her, it didn't click at first, but I realized that out of all the people I met, I was drawn to her more. She was simple, plain, very pretty, very beautiful. So I now, when we started this, I now realized, when I now found out what her name was, then one day it just occurred to me, I won't put it beyond God that because I served him water, that day and, then he had created my partner for me.
Yeah.
But, the way God has it, and which is one thing I believe that we need to learn to train our kids to pray for their future, especially, their future partners. And God will answer prayers in his own time. He will take you through a testing, which is what we went through. But you realize who you are. Now, the why for me is, I believe what that dream depicted for me was me serving Christ meant I should also serve her. I should also be behind her. Yeah. She is, in the dream between Christ and I, the water was in between.
Yes.
I gave him water, but basically what he would tell me or anybody else, he has another source of, water or anything that benefits you that is greater than what you can give him. All he wants is your presence and your service. And the Bible tells you, husbands, love your wife like Christ loves the church. And, Christ would do anything for the church. He died for the church. And that's one thing I'm learning. I'm not saying everything she says, I say, trust me, behind the scenes, we have our own issues. We're human beings. And I'm like, she's come again with this dream. God said. I'm like, it's only you that knows God. But I began to understand, and again, the Bible tells us that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor. And of recent times, I've realized that favor is not the material things we desire or we think we need. But favor is the simple thing, getting through the day, learning that this person you're married to can and will help you no matter what. This person, is part of you. I believe she's literally that rib.
Yeah.
God took out of Adam on my part, took out of me to make her. But
Excellent.
it doesn't mean that we'll always get along.
Of course.
But, it means that, things will work out if, and that's the wife for me.
That's remarkable. Talk about God transforming your life from a very young age. I love it. Thank you. Thanks for going deep. That's really what I wanted to hear and get out of this, because I don't know when next we'll have the opportunity to have you seated and speak to us on this aspect, at the Do It Afraid conference. So I think it's really important that we draw this as much as possible from you. Now, you said something about, yes, you've received an instruction from God. Yes, you know that Omi is your favor, is your gifts from God from a young age. God had you use the symbol of water, and how uncanny is it that your wife's name is now water? What else? What other sign do you need? But was there a moment, whereby you knew that, okay, Lord, I know this is an instruction from you, because for every instruction that God gives, there has to be a corresponding surrender. He can't force you to do certain things. He can tell you, I want you to support your wife. He can tell you, I want you to give up your resources rather than you going on a nice holiday or, funding your wardrobe. You look nice, by the way. I'm going to use this money to support my wife. At what point was there a defining moment of surrender for you?
Yes, actually, I think there was. There was just after I turned 40, I experienced certain accidents or just before. And one of the things she was struggling with then, which was her main Do It Afraid incident, was to leave her profession, because God told her to leave it. I didn't understand at the time. I always used to beg her, please, just stay at ARM, because then I was thinking like any of us would.
Of course.
And where we are today, trust me, in a million years, Omi and I never thought about it, that this is what we'll be doing, apart from the professional things we learned to do in school. But, when you find purpose and when you start walking in purpose, it's a growth, it's a transformation, it's something that you move on to. But what defined it for me was the day I had an accident and I ruptured my knee. I tore my patellar tendon. And Omi had to, and this was like 2 or 3 weeks after she just came back from England, because she had to take her mom for brain surgery. Or a few months after. And she was, she's been under so much pressure, so much, and the day she had to go to work to explain and get leave, to do this, she had gone in to discuss, and she came back to the car, because my leg was strapped. I couldn't walk around. And she just broke down, crying, as in, I hadn't seen her that low before. And something inside me just said, look, it's okay. Whatever it is you need to do. Because it's better for you to, to be sane and,
feel fulfilled.
Exactly. And, to feel, so I saw that breakdown in her. And at that moment, I knew I had to yield to what she needed, even though I didn't know what would happen.
Yeah.
I only had one leg. She had to bath me. I couldn't, but something inside me just said, it's fine. We have to go, the route this is going. And I won't be surprised. Maybe that's one of the reasons why what happened to me happened to me.
Exactly.
Because God wants you to go to your lowest, And, the irony again is like when Lazarus died, he waited 3 days. He did that on purpose because he knew he was greater than death. And if God can conquer death, everything else that affects us is nothing.
Yeah. Brilliant. Please, Omi, absolutely.
That, God is amazing. And I was tearing up again when I was talking, because I remember just before that incident, I had started discipleship, master discipleship in my church. And I kind of opened up in like a fellowship. And I said, I want to resign from my job, but I don't. Then they're like, resign. I'm like, how would I tell my husband I'm going to resign from my job? I'd kind of reached that point where I was done. And they were like, you know what, we're going to pray, and we'll pray that God will give an opportunity for you and your husband to talk. In fact, they prayed that, maybe we'll go on vacation. And I now want some kind of lottery or something to go to Ghana. See you on Monday. And I'm like, when HR says want to see you on Monday, you're like, let's see. So I said, I'll come to your office now. And then literally, it was like everything I had worked for, I'd wanted was brought before me. Now, management is really looking up to you now. My boss had been fired, so I was going to take up that position. Like,
Wow.
all I had wanted, the success was right there. But I got into it when she finished. Everything she was saying was what I wanted to hear at that point. Maybe a year before, that's what I wanted to hear. And I just went out and said, babes, let's go. And I was driving because he couldn't drive, so it was at the back. And literally, as we drove out of the compound, I just broke down. So God orchestrated. So we literally then went away for 2 weeks. And then that's when God told me, Omi, leave your job. Wow. According to Genesis chapter 12, Abraham. Yeah. And so it just brought back so many memories.
Excellent. Thank you. Do you know something else I just wanted to point out is also the way it links to today's theme. That, you tearing your, I can't say the name, sorry. Patella tendon. You tearing that was almost like what should have been a disruption, but turned out to be a transformation. Yes. In your opening speech, Omi, you talked about the fact that when there's an eruption from a volcano, it goes on, it looks like it's destroyed things, but then it starts to set things in process. And that's what really happened. That was actually, it marks a turning point in your journey as it is today. So that's really brilliant. I said it that 30 minutes was going to be too short, but yes, you had to. They're giving me the signals now. But I need to ask this question, and I'll tie both of it together. Number one is for people who have received an instruction. So we started from the journey of you're supporting, you got an instruction, you surrendered. Even after surrendering, knowing that it's God that's behind this, you get to a point where it's a point of like, I'm not doing again. So was there ever a point where she came up with one idea, like, let's go and do it on the moon or something? Omi comes up with such amazing ideas that could only have come from God. Were there points like that where you thought, you know what? No, this I've tried. Even me, I know I have tried. We're not doing this. And how did you handle that? And then tie that to, okay, they're two different questions because I want you to answer before they come and cut me off. Tie that to what it means as being a part of a vision to not be the visible partner. So many people, there are different people who play different roles when it comes to actualizing a vision. They're the people who are the front runners. They're the ones who people can see, they're celebrated. We want to have an award for which Omi, accolades and all that. It's Omi they're going to call. But at the end of the day, you're the one who sees what others don't see. Your money is there. Your emotional investment is there. Your time, family time has been put in there. But you don't get the credit. How do you manage that? And how can you help people who are in that position? So first of all, as to, was there ever a time you thought, you know what, Omi, no? And how did you handle it? I mean, her smile is so bewitching. I don't know how you would say no to that smile. But I know that sometimes they're like, nope, I'm not looking at you, nope.
No, actually, if there was a fly, well, obviously, there's a fly on the wall in our house when these things transpire. People will see another side of me. I wouldn't say I'm the perfect gentleman. Obviously, I'll react. I remember the first conference was
Civic Center.
The theme
Moth or Butterfly.
And when she first came up with it, because I did sciences when I was younger, I understood the whole, but I didn't get it. But at that time, I thought, look, this girl has left her work. She wants to pursue her passion. That's what I was thinking at the time. But as time went by, I now realized that it's not just passion, it's purpose. Because she's using mediums around us to explain, what God wants from us or what God is doing with us. And it's not ironic that the first theme and this theme key together, right? Now, for butterfly to come into play or moth, it first starts off as a slug, a caterpillar. To ourselves and allow God to take control. That beauty inside us, that purpose, He will cocoon us in a place of time to test us. And when we pass that test, we come out on the other side beautiful, you can't touch a butterfly. It's everywhere and anywhere, but it's so beautiful. And that's what purpose is. People that see it, your purpose, will get attracted to it. When our purpose, might not touch everybody, but to touch some people. So for me, seeing that in time and with her, I've come to understand that, I don't question her. I question her just to put her on her toes, not to get carried away that, oh, maybe it's you coming up with it. But each time, I'm more than surprised that it's not just her, that actually she's getting these things from, God. From, these ideas are not just, she cooks them up. So I think, for me, I'm beginning to understand and see that, And your other question about, being behind the scenes is actually a lot easier for me to be behind the scenes. Because, she's the flesh of my flesh, is the bone of my bone. She's there for me. There's nothing that she won't do for me. To the point that, even in annoying me, it helps me. With
lyrics.
With quarrels we have, we're getting to know each other. I'm looking forward to when our kids marry and move out, to see how much we've grown and how much we get closer together.
Omi just extended that time. You will extended the time by, you had a baby recently.
Honestly, right now we'll be doing both wearing the boy and grandpa at the same time.
So,
for
me, excuse me. So for me, being behind the scenes is beautiful. It's very comfortable. Yes, it's testing.
Yes.
But that's what life is.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, what we do today impacts tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And one thing I always concentrate on, if there's anything, when she asks me, well, what do you want? When people ask me, what do you want? Or when we go to places and say, I pray for this, pray for that. The most foremost thing I always ask God for and pray for is the salvation of my children.
That's his life's vision.
That's the most important thing for me. Not what I would leave for them, because at the end of the day, they have choice. Yes. But I pray that choice they have, they exercise it to obtain salvation. That is what's important for me. And I think living my life as best as I can with my wife, I'm hoping that would reflect, and the footprints we leave behind, like the book she wrote, The Richer Woman, those are footprints we're leaving behind. Things we leave behind, I pray that it will impact not just our children, but our children's children. And I think that's what God meant when He says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. I don't think it's about the physical things, because all those things would end up, being destroyed. But it's the knowledge of salvation, I believe.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gbenga and Omi. Thank you for speaking so honestly. I hope we know that this is just part one. We definitely have to come back on this seat and do another one. It's such a rich conversation, and I hope that there's so many messages, so many lessons to be learned from your personal journey and experience. And I thank you very much. Even in that, we've seen the picture of what a volcanic transformation looks like, and that's God in action. Thank you so much indeed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've been able to pick up some fantastic gems from this very brief session. We look forward to having more. If you want a part 2 or a second part to this, please put in the comment section, #part 2. They will understand.